Hello, my name is Simon Kerr, and I'm one of the litigation partners here at Berry Smith in Cardiff. Today I'm going to talk to you about oral agreement disputes. We're going to look at some of the key legal principles and procedural issues involved in this type of dispute, consider some of the problems and pitfalls which practitioners face, examine the ways in which the courts have approached oral agreements in recent cases, and think about how we can try to overcome some of the practical difficulties which arise. We'll also look at how to go about drafting pleadings and witness statements, and how to manage risk. You should have a series of slides to accompany this talk, which will include all the cases I'll mention, together with their citations. When we hear the word contract, even experienced lawyers can be tempted to think of a written document, setting out the particular terms of the agreement and neatly signed at the bottom by all the parties who stand to be affected by it. But of course, we have to resist that temptation. In the real world, agreements are made in all sorts of ways and under all sorts of circumstances, some of them more sound than others. So a written document will not always be needed to enforce the terms of a contract. Let's start with one of the classic ingredients of a contract. Has an agreement been reached? Of course, it is trite law that the court will approach that question objectively, and sometimes a contract is construed from the factual circumstances of what the parties agreed. Let's take a practical example. Suppose that you offer to buy my car for £1,000 and I agree to sell for that price. Later, when you send me the money and ask me for the car, I renege on the agreement, saying that I'd always had reservations about selling my car and didn't really want to do it in the first place. It is overwhelmingly likely that the court would enforce this contract, regardless of my subjective reservations or conditions. As far as the court is concerned, objectively speaking, an agreement was present for all to see, and my subjective evidence carries much less weight. That's obviously a simplified example of a verbal agreement, but the principle is an important one. It's worth keeping in mind, too, that the objective test applies equally to agreements by conduct.